What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with some breaking news for the Detroit Lions. Definitely not some news that I expected to see today, but it has just happened. So let's get it started.
The Detroit Lions select Jaden Hood, Jamison Roman, Josh Pascal, Kirby Joseph, Rodriguez, James Mitchell, James Houston. NFL draft is now officially open.
Welcome, everybody, to our video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we are back with some Lions news. Now, I'm going to try to get this video out as fast as possible, which means I'm going to try to get right to the point, skip a lot of, just kind of my thoughts on everything, but really get right to the point just to get the news out to you. But we are doing a live show today with Rad, I believe about 5 p.m. Eastern time. That definitely could change. I'll have to get in touch with him. But around that time, we do plan to go live. We were going to talk some draft. But now with this move that just happened, this will definitely be something that we dive into. So if you guys want more of our thoughts on it, maybe more details of the situation, check us out live and we will be talking about this. However, to get the news out there that has broke, according to Tom Pelissero, the Detroit Lions are trading cornerback Jeff Okudah to the Atlanta Falcons for a 5th-round pick in this year's draft, which I believe is the 159th pick. I could be incorrect on that, but I think according to PFF, it's pick 159, which a lot of times when I do these mock drafts, I'm trying to add at least like one extra draft pick. I just think one extra draft pick could be super valuable. We know we don't have a 4th-round pick, which whether that's for trade ammunition or to just get another position, whether that's potentially opening you up to get a special teams player, maybe the quarterback that you want if that's a day 3 pick, maybe it's a tight end, a linebacker, whatever it may be. I'm always looking for extra draft picks, so this is something that definitely will help us in that sense. Jeff Okudah, current situation with Jeff Okudah is that this was the final year of his rookie deal with the Lions, and more updates here according to Tom Pelissero is that the Detroit Lions are unloading the remaining basically $5.2 million that was guaranteed to Jeff Okudah this season. Lions were kind of mulling the 5th-year option with Jeff Okudah, which seemed pretty unlikely. I believe it would have been set at about $9.5 million for the 2024 season. After this season, it would have been set at about that number in the NFL, and that's something that they had until after the draft they can make that decision, but it seemed pretty unlikely that the Lions would pick up that 5th-year option. So if that's the case and you're not sure if he's going to be here after the season, you may not get much for that, especially if he loses playing time. If we just think this out in a sense, if he loses some playing time this year and you don't see him a ton and then you let him hit free agency, you're probably not going to end up getting a comp pick out of it because he might get paid a little bit on free agency market, but are you really losing that on the market where you're going to get a comp pick in return? That may not happen, okay? So you're never really sure on that. So with that, it looks like the Lions are just getting something here for Jeff Okudah. Now, also, I always try to pick up on the little things that are said in these league meetings, and I did think that it was interesting when Dan Campbell was talking about the free agent signings. We know that this offseason we made a lot of moves in the cornerback position, whether that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Emmanuel Mosley, Cam Sutton with this 3-year deal. And when Dan Campbell basically said it doesn't mean they're going to start, even though he kind of made it sound like that those guys would probably start this season, even though Mosley and CJ are only on 1-year deals, he kind of had the sense that like it was like, oh yeah, these guys are going to start. Like we're kind of redoing this cornerback position. And when you look at who's under contract taking Okudah out of the situation, Emmanuel Mosley, Jerry Jacobs, Cam Sutton, Chase Lucas, and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Also, Will Harris, who was brought back on a 1-year deal this offseason, which puts you at 6 cornerbacks, plus some other players like the Khalil Dorseys and some of the under-the-radar, they're going to battle to make roster spots. All those guys are under contract as well as some others as well. Your McCain's, the cornerback position. So the Lions are already kind of deep at that position as well, which I thought maybe they just go lighter at safety because there's some position flexibility. But they're already pretty deep at that position. And, of course, if they're going to start Mosley and they intend to start him if he's healthy and they intend to start, of course, Cam Sutton's going to be here long term, and Gardner Johnson's going to be playing when he's healthy and he's on the field. He's going to be a starter. So if that's the case, which means you would see less of Jeff Okudah, again, this could be the best way for the Lions to potentially get something out of this situation. This is super unfortunate. If you ask me, I was very hopeful for Jeff Okudah this upcoming season. We know how much time he's just missed with injuries, and this past year was really the first time we got to see the guy play, finishing the play, making a play on the football. Like, he's always had the athleticism, the tools, the traits, all of these things. It just hasn't all clicked yet, and I thought last year you started to see a lot more consistency, match up against like a DK Metcalf. You just didn't see the playmaking on the ball there yet. And I was hoping that with the hiring of a guy like Dre Bly, maybe some of that would start to kind of kick in for Okudah. But again, it was the final year of his deal, so it wasn't like you had a long time to wait with this. I really thought the best thing for Jeff Okudah, and I think it will be for the Atlanta Falcons, is that he was able to get that experience under his belt this past season. He was able to play a full season, which is super beneficial for him. And at the same time, last year he had his rough games. The New York Jets, it was kind of going into half. You also had the games that he was kind of sat down for the next game. And if you remember this past season, a lot of times when they would rotate corners, and I pointed this out many times, is they didn't rotate Jerry Jacobs out. It wasn't like Mike Hughes was checking in when he started playing outside corner for Jerry Jacobs. Jerry Jacobs didn't come out the field. They would rotate him out with Jeff Okudah. And it was really after that game where, you know, he had the missed tackle on the edge, and it led to a big play against the Carolina Panthers. He had a couple missed tackles in the game, one in the flat in coverage there that led to a big play. So there was just a couple things he left out there. But I thought for him, honestly, a really good part for him was that there was some consistency that you start to see, because you also have him get credit. He had some good games like Dallas. I thought he played really well, maybe his best game of the season against a team like Dallas on the top of my head. So it was great for him to get that experience this past season, but that's something that always stuck with me. And I thought that same, hey, they did bench Deshaun Elliott, right? And obviously he didn't get re-signed. I thought that was more of a numbers thing, but it happened. And again, when they rotated corners, Jerry didn't come off the field. Jeff Okudah was the guy that rotated with Mike Hughes. And I do think the Lions are going to draft a cornerback relatively high here. And then when you also take into account the numbers that they have, if he's not going to start, it does make sense. As unfortunate as it is, as me, I'm a big Jeff Okudah fan. I hate to see this because there was even a lot of excitement, and maybe if, who knows how things change, if he's healthy that year where he's injured week 1 against San Fran, and that's really his first season, and this last year would have been his second year. Who knows what the guy looks like? Just unfortunately, the injuries didn't allow that to happen, and once you start getting through how far that rookie deal is going, and if you're going to get anything in return anyway, some point you have to make a decision, and the Lions made one. And if you weren't intending to even start him this year, plus you also keep in mind the draft is still coming, and it seems like I think the Lions are still going to draft someone, and I can see them doing it relatively high. Heck, it could be a first-round pick. Lions take another cornerback. If you're going to take away playing time, you may end up not getting anything for him regardless if that ends up being the situation. It's super unfortunate because I was super hopeful here with Jeff Okudah, and I had high hopes for what it could look like another full season next year if that was the case, and him competing with this group. I like Jeff Okudah. I like him a lot. It just hasn't all came together yet for Jeff Okudah. You know, the playmaking on the football just hasn't happened yet at this point in time, but he has all the tools. I think he has the best tools of any cornerback that we even have. It just hasn't all came together, and that's a big reason that he was a 3 pick in the draft. So this one is unfortunate, but it's also, I can't say it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I can understand how you come to a decision like this if someone's willing to give you a pick in this year's draft and you may not get something out of it anyway. However, it is unfortunate because I am a Jeff Okudah fan. So I'll be rooting for him. He's off to the Atlanta Falcons. Lions get an extra draft pick for this year's draft, but Jeff Okudah is no longer a Lion after 3 really tough seasons with the Detroit Lions, just in terms of trying to be healthy and a tough start to his career and how he was kind of thrown into the fire as a rookie and he didn't really have that stopgap. It was very difficult process for Okudah. So wishing him the best, but the Lions are getting an extra 5th-round pick in this year's draft. Again, we're going to get more of our thoughts. I'll get more of my thoughts. I'm going to really think this through, go through some of the numbers, things like that in today's live show. So check us out. But until then, thank you, Pride, for watching, and I'm out.